Welcome to another episode of 1 Minute Solutions. This is question number 7 on the 2020 PSAT exam. All right, this is a question on exponential functions, exponential models. Let's see what it says. The function gives a number of green algae in a beaker where T represents the amount of time since the algae were placed in the beaker. What amount of time in hours is needed for the number of green algae in the beaker to double? Okay, so this is the function that models how much algae is in the beaker. Okay, so we're going to use this to help us out. Okay, so if we don't know anything about exponential functions, or you need to know a little bit about it here, but if we're not really good at it, or if we're not too familiar with it for some reason, we technically don't need to know the standard form of exponential function. It could help us here, but I'll explain it both ways, okay? How do we get to the initial value is 10,000? Well, if we understand the general form for exponential function that you might have learned in your algebra or math 2, 3 class, whatever, it's a0 times a to the x, where a0 is the initial value, all right? Another way to think about it is, instead of x, it's t in this case. What happens if we plug in t equals 0? Because t is the amount of time that passed. So 0 means no time has passed, meaning the initial amount. Yeah? So if we do that, g of 0 is 10,000 times 2 to the 0 over 2 power. So that's 2 to the 0 power, which is 1. 10,000 times 1 is 10,000. Okay? So we're interested in the amounts or the time when it doubles. So what's twice of 10,000? That's 20,000. Okay. So let's write it as 10,000 times 2, actually. The reason I want to write it like this is because if we're not comfortable with exponential functions, well, 10,000 times 2, look at this guy. 10,000 times 2 to the t over 2 power. So we just want to match this 2 to the first power to 2 to the t over 2 power, meaning that 1 power in this guy over here, 1 is equal to t over 2, which means t equals 2. And the answer is C. So once again, it is helpful if we know the, the general form for exponential function because we can immediately eyeball that the initial value is 10,000. We want it to double, so that's 20,000, meaning we want 2 to the t over 2 to be equal to 2. And that only works when t over 2 is 1, which means t equals 2. Okay, if we don't know this general form, then we have to do this extra step. Well, t equals 0 means no time has passed. This is the more conceptual understanding, to be honest, but it's helpful to know both. Okay, so t equals 0 means no time has passed. That means it's the initial value, which if we do the math, it's 10,000. We're interested in 20,000, so you can even just plug in the values of t here, and then you eventually find that this answer, C, gives you 20,000. So that's another way to approach it.